Hey everyone, in the last episode, we created our first action, and in this episode, we're going to talk about data types, data structures, and then creating our first command. So let's get right onto it. We're first going to talk about data types. So there are many different data types, but I will talk about the most common ones. So that will be string, integer, and double. A string, we remember in the last episode where we did double quotes hello world or hello C#. These are strings. These are a string of characters, and you use double quotes and then a string of characters in between. There is char where you use a single quote and a single character. If you try to put more than one character in there, this is not a valid char anymore. So moving on to integer. An integer is a numeric value, okay? This is an integer. You can have positive integers, negative integers, or 0. These are integers. And if you want decimal values behind them, you can use a double. So this is a double, and this is a double. So there are other data types very similar to double. Let me just show you the differences. There is a double, there is a float, and a decimal. These exist in C#. Now, what are the difference between these? Well, float only occupies 4 bytes, whereas double uses 8 bytes. So if your value gets very large, a float might not be able to handle it, whereas a double can. So you would most normally use a double wherever you can instead of a float. However, sometimes you may use a decimal when you do something related to currency, or you would try to round it up to decimal places. So these are the situations where I've used decimal, but most commonly you would use a double. Let's move on to data structures. So I will talk about only 2 data structures, or 3. I will talk about a list and a dictionary. And maybe show you the difference between a list and an array. So if you use Python, a list and dictionary might be familiar to you. A list in C# will look something like this, where if you want to define a list of strings, like a couple of fruits, you use square brackets and then you define your strings in here, comma separated between the brackets. Now, apple, banana, orange. These are a list of strings, and if you want to access apple, you will have to do fruits 0. Okay, because if you want to get the first thing, it's 0. If you want to get the second thing, it's 1. And if you want to get orange, you have to get 2. If you do 3, it's out of bounds. In many modern programming languages, you would have the array and list start at 0. That's the standard. It makes math easier as well in programming. Whereas for array, okay, the difference between an array and a list, an array looks something like this. Arrays are fixed in size, okay? And arrays are fixed in size, whereas lists are more dynamically sized and flexible. So you would just need to care about lists in most of your cases. There are certain cases where you would use array, but I normally just stick with lists. Nothing for you to worry about. Now, let's move on to dictionary. I'm not going to write valid C# dictionary. It's kind of a lot, but the whole concept is that you have a key that would lead you to a value. So the keys must be unique because you're going to access it looking like dictionary, square bracket, key. And if you have multiple keys, this would be erroneous. This would lead to an error, okay? So you would have a key and then a value. Forgot to mention that if you want list to actually work here, you actually need to update the using with using system.collections.generic, because you're using a generic here, so you need to add it to your system. So let's continue on. let's move on to creating our first command. So I will want to make an echo command. An echo command, the concept will be I type into chat, !echo, and hello world. I want my bot to echo this back to me. So that's a concept that we're going to try to achieve. I will create a command here, add core command triggered. Now you can create a command directly here. And you can, I'm going to name this echo. I will have the location at the start, !echo, and I want it to be only available to me and my moderators. So if you're a subscriber, if you're a VIP, if you're just a regular chatter, you won't be able to use this command. I only set it to me and my mods to be able to use it. Now our command is created. I will move on to writing the C# code. And in a lot of Streamer.Bot C# code, you would most probably see try get arg. So this is Streamer.Bot trying to get the argument of raw input, outstring raw input. Now, raw input, where did I get that from? Well, every time a command happens, it will have a bunch of variables. Anytime a trigger happens, a bunch of variables will appear, and one of them is raw input. The message entered, if the command was to start with, this will be removed. So that means that if I type into chat !echo, this is the command with to start with. This part will be ignored. Only this part will be in the raw input. So I want my bot to send it back to me via Twitch chat. I want to send it back raw input. Now I'm gonna press compile. That compiled successfully, and I'm going to save. I am going to test this by typing into my chat. !echo hello world. Enter. And my bot replies it to me. And that is it for this tutorial. I hope to be able to teach you more in the next episode.